Hey, it's Jason here, and welcome to another episode of Metal Mastermind. Today we're going to give you our 5 principles for songwriting for metal music. Well, these principles can actually be applied to any genre of music when it comes to songwriting, but hey, we are Metal Mastermind. Now, these 5 principles we're going to go over, they apply to every aspect of songwriting, whether you're writing the lyrics, the melodies and the vocal lines, to the instrumentation, to the composition, every aspect of the songwriting process you can apply these principles to and really think these are going to help you. Real quick, make sure you hang around to the end of the video because we have a special announcement here on Metal Mastermind that I think you're really going to be excited about, so hang around for that. Principle number 1, focus on developing your own style and sound. Don't chase someone else's style. Don't chase someone else's sound. And I'll give you a really good example by picking on guitar players here. See, guitar players, we're notorious for chasing someone else's sound and tone. We hear a tone we like and we're thinking, well, I want to write a song like that and I want that exact tone. So we start thinking, well, what are their exact amp settings? What amp are they using? What pedals, effects, and down the list. And we're chasing that sound and that tone. Instead, we should be focusing on developing our own style and sound through our tone because that's going to impact the songwriting. Vocalists are guilty of this on a pretty high level as well. We have our inspirations, and that's okay. It's okay to have inspirations. That's kind of how we get into music and how we get to the level we're at in the first place. But you shouldn't be trying to sound like another vocalist, right? You can take little things from them, but you shouldn't be chasing someone else's tone or their style or their songwriting style, because this goes down to everything within songwriting. When we hear certain artists and bands, it's easy to sometimes get in that habit of trying to mimic what a band is doing, and oftentimes we do this subconsciously. We may not even realize that we're doing it, but I just want to bring us back to the place to where you're focusing on your own signature style and sound because you have that within you, and we want to bring that to surface. It's kind of our job here at Metal Mastermind, is to help you bring these things, bring this authenticity that you have to surface. So focus on developing your own sound and style. Don't go chasing someone else's. Principle number 2 for songwriting, and this may sound a little cliche, but believe in yourself. And in addition, understand that you have this extremely unique talent within inside of you, okay? You have that within you. And this kind of goes back to number 1 when we're talking about developing your own signature style and sound. You need to believe that you are good enough, that you are capable, and that you do have that special talent within you. And again, our job here at Metal Mastermind is to help you bring that to surface, to bring that into the spotlight. And you have to understand that there is no one else on the face of this earth that can do what you do exactly the way you can do it. No one can write lyrics exactly the way you write lyrics, right? No one can write those guitar riffs exactly the same way you're writing the guitar riffs, because we all have our little quirks. We all have these hidden little talents. We have these little nuances about us, from our personality to the way we play and write music, that if we really focus on that, going back to principle 1, then we're gonna bring out that authentic and creative art that we're making here, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And again, no one else can do that exactly the way you can. So I want you to believe in yourself, believe that is in there. You have that power as you continue to practice and develop your talents here in your craft. Believe in yourself when you're writing those songs, when you're writing those lyrics, those riffs, when you're composing the music. You have that unique and amazing talent. Principle number 3 for songwriting for metal music, and this might be the most important principle that we can give you here. Do not, under any circumstances, ever compare your songwriting, or your playing for that matter, or singing, to another artist or another band. Do not compare yourself to others. Remember, they're doing their thing, okay? And it might be the most beautiful thing. They may have a huge fan base. They may have just these amazing songs, but remember, let's go back to principle 1. You're focusing not on them, on you, on your signature sound and style, okay? Remember principle number 2, because this all kind of runs together here. You need to not believe in them, you need to believe in you, in yourself, in your writing capabilities. You need to understand that not them, because they've got their thing going on, but you have that unique and authentic and original talent within you. That's what you need to bring out. You will never bring that to surface if you're constantly comparing yourself to other bands and other artists. You see, here's the thing about music, and this is a beautiful thing about music. It's not really about how good somebody is or how good somebody's perceived. Listen, as a guitar player especially, you can scroll through social media and you can see people shredding up and down the neck all day long, and that can discourage you if you start comparing yourself to that. Or maybe you're a vocalist, maybe you're a drummer or a bass player or whatever, and of course that's what you're kind of looking at as you're scrolling through there, and you just see this talent all over the world. Look, it's a beautiful thing, that's great, but remember what I said earlier. No one can do what you can do exactly the way you can do it, okay? And it doesn't have to be perceived as better or at this level or that level. What it boils down to when it comes to songwriting is it authentic? Is it original? Or are you trying to just compare yourself to another band or trying to sound like them? So you're just kind of regurgitating what's already out there or attempting to do that. Do not, under any circumstances, ever compare yourself to any other artist or band when it comes to songwriting, playing, or anything. Principle number 4 for songwriting for metal music. This is going to be a tough one here. You must get to the point in your songwriting where good enough is perfection. And here's why. See, there's 2 myths about perfection. Myth number 1, perfection doesn't exist. That whole perfection concept is extremely subjective, especially when it comes to songwriting. And remember real quick everything we've talked about. Your style, your sound, believing in your unique talent, not comparing yourself to others, but focusing on you. Well, that's a subjective topic there. Now, obviously, let me just step back for a minute. Don't let that be an excuse to not practice and not get good at your craft. You need to be at a certain level, okay? Let's just clear the air on that. But, you know, you're watching the video this far into it, you're writing your songs, you've got some stuff out there. Look, you've already proven yourself. Probably don't need to prove yourself anymore, but just understand that perfection does not exist. So don't go chasing that thing. Here's the second myth about perfection, and this is probably the most crucial myth. Perfection is often used as an excuse not to take that next step forward. Now, I want you to think about that for a moment. I want you to think that if you keep trying to nitpick your song and tear it apart until it's perfect, you're probably never going to get there, which means you're never going to cross over to that next step, okay? Which oftentimes is it's a leap. It's that leap of faith or leap into the unknown, and that usually means, well, you're releasing your song, you're taking that next step to put it out there. We will often use, well, it's just not perfect, I still need to keep tweaking it. We'll use that as an excuse not to take that next step. Don't let perfection or the concept, this myth of perfection, get in the way of you taking that next step. You've got to get to the point where, okay, you know what? I've done all I can do here and the song sounds awesome. Good enough, it's perfect. Let's get it out there and let's move forward. This 5th and final principle of writing metal songs and metal music is really finding that fine balance of putting in the effort that you need to put in and walking away. So you've got to know that you need to put in the effort to get somewhere. I mean, it's kind of obvious, right? You know that. You've got to work at it. You can't just expect things to fall in your lap. What I mean by that, and I'll give you a good example, is don't wait until this magical inspiration is just raining down upon you. Okay, don't wait for those moments to write songs. Well, I just can't write. I'm not inspired today. Don't do that. It'll never happen if that's what you're waiting for. Rather, I'd want to see you schedule some writing times and be consistent at writing. Doesn't mean you're going to write a hit every single time you sit down, but what it does mean is you're going to give yourself a lot more chances, a lot more opportunity to write something great. You may sit down at those scheduled times 3, 4, 5 times before you just nail something. You're like, oh, this is it. Okay, this is it. Well, had you not gotten to that point, scheduling those times to write, you may have never written that really awesome line or riff, or sometimes songs just kind of pop out. Now, it's not to say that if you have that moment of inspiration bestowed upon you from the gods of metal, then by all means stop what you're doing if it's possible and write. But don't always wait for those times to come, because you'll be waiting longer than you'd like to and you'll never get anything done. On the flip side, you've got to know when to walk away. And that time is the time that you're just getting frustrated and feeling overwhelmed and starting to feel anxious. Those are the times when you've been working at it, you've been putting in the effort, but let's say you sat down today, you're 10, 15, 20 minutes into it, it's like, you know what, nothing's coming, I'm just getting frustrated. You need to step away. Maybe step away for a day, maybe 2 days, but make sure you're scheduled to come back to it. Again, don't wait for that magical moment to be bestowed upon you. That's not how these things work. You need to constantly be practicing your songwriting skills, whether it be writing lyrics or writing vocal lines, singing vocal lines, melodies, or writing the riffs or the drum parts, bass parts, whatever. You need to constantly be practicing not just your craft, but the songwriting piece of it as well, the creation process. You need to practice that consistently. Again, that's just gonna better your odds of coming up with some really awesome songs. So find the balance between putting in the effort, but also knowing when to walk away. All right, so I told you I had something exciting to share with you, an announcement from Metal Mastermind, and that is Ken Candelas and I are working on a metal songwriting course for you. We're working on it right now. I'm filming this in August 2021. That course will be available by the end of this month, so stay tuned for a release date. Of course, if you're watching this video after that time, just look in the description of this YouTube video. There will be a link to go grab that course. On that note, if you have not downloaded our free home studio guide, make sure you get that. There's a link in the description. I do hope these 5 principles of songwriting helped you today. And again, you can really take these principles and apply them to many aspects of life in general, and I believe they will help you. But please feel free to leave us any comments or questions. We try to get to those and respond to those the best that we can. And thank you so much for being a part of Metal Mastermind. We really appreciate having you here. We'll see you on the next video.